Greetings, viewer. It is I, the Rust Belt Collector. Yeah, hello, how's it going? What's up? Right here, this guy, this is kind of what's the word? This is a foreshadowing of what we're going to be talking about today, as if the title of this video that you clicked on wasn't enough. Right here, I have a vintage, I think like 1980s Cobra Trooper, Crimson Guard guy. I got the names all mixed up right there. Somebody who knows G.I. Joe very thoroughly probably cringed. I understand. I don't know the characters that well. I think they're cool. I grew up with them. They were just G.I. Joe and Cobra. And this guy was one of my favorites. As you can see, he is very loose. He can barely stand up. His whole joint system is just all loosey-goosey. But he was one of my favorites. This is like one of the Cobra guards. I want to say he's a Crimson Guard, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, the weapon isn't original. That's a more recent Cobra or G.I. Joe weapon. But yeah, this is the foreshadowing for what we're talking about today, and that is the G.I. Joe classified 6-inch line. Now, I actually found these in stores, and again, you know, with the current crisis and everything, I was very careful, wearing a mask and all that. I went in for some groceries, and they actually had the display, the end cap display of these, and I went, I'm going to buy them. So I did. I actually bought the entire wave except for Roadblock. I am not a fan of the design of Roadblock's costume. So I decided to get the ones that I did like, which was Duke, Snake Eyes of course, Destro, and Scarlet. So I will be reviewing all four of those one at a time, one video each, over the course of a couple weeks, I'm sure. And eventually I may get the Roadblock figure. I don't know. It didn't seem to fit as well with the more tactical look of the figures, but that's just me. I wasn't a fan of the design, so I was going to get these first as like a trial run, see how I liked them, and if I did like them, then I would probably go back and I'd get Roadblock later. Now, as usual, I struggle to keep the full box in the frame, but I will do my best to show you guys all of the beauty that is this really nice, classically designed box. I am a huge fan of this box art. Like, overall, I wasn't sure, you know, maybe it would just be like a Black Series box where I tear it open and I throw the packaging away. These G.I. Joe figures may actually be ones that I keep the box of, because just look at this art. Very classic, like 1980s, 1990s G.I. Joe comic book art. Continues over to the side. You've got Duke smashing the face of Cobra Commander. A nice like portrait there, and then on the back you have this really beautiful artwork of all the characters that they have so far announced, I believe. You got Snake Eyes, Duke, Scarlet, Roadblock, Gung Ho, Destro. I don't think they've announced Baroness yet, so Baroness may be coming in like Wave 2 or something. Cobra Commander, which was just recently announced. The ninjas, the red ninja guys that they just announced. No Storm Shadow, but Vipers, Cobra Vipers. I swear if they release these, I will be buying at least 2, but probably 4, because oh my gosh, Vipers were my favorite. I don't have any of my Vipers anymore. I had several growing up, and I don't have any of them, and I'm really disappointed that I don't have the Vipers. So if they release a 6-inch Viper, you better believe I will buy that in a heartbeat. So anyways, this packaging looks really nice. The figure is in the window, artwork on the sides, G.I. Joe Classified series. Overall, really, really cool. They are numbered as well, I forgot to mention that. So these are numbered just like the Black Series line, so as you collect them, you'll have numbers to keep track of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, on to 100. And then there's these symbols here, which I'm not entirely sure what they mean. You've got a horse, which like a knight, a paratrooper, bullets, and then 5 stars, like a general. So I don't know what any of that means, but maybe one of you guys does, and you can leave it down in the comments. Maybe that's something from like one of the movies or the comics that I just missed. I don't know. But anyways, let's break this packaging open and take a look at this figure. And there we go. He's all out of the packaging, looking pretty cool. We'll set him aside just for a bit. We'll take a look at the accessories, and then we'll dive into the figure and articulation, which just from these quick glances at it out of the packaging, I'd say the articulation is pretty solid. First off, he comes with this little backpack, entrenching tool, 2 canteens, which is weird, but I guess, hey, you gotta stay hydrated. That just pegs onto his back. There's not really any paint apps there to speak of except for the shovel. Then he comes with this little pouch doodad. Oh, I guess these are maybe binoculars. There's like a little port there that you would look into, or maybe you look into this side. I don't know, they just kind of, you know what I mean? They kind of look like binoculars. I could be wrong, but they look like binoculars. And those look like they go right there. So they peg onto his ammo belt, and that's nice. I like that they've included places to attach all of the accessories. That way you don't have loose little bits laying around, so you can always keep all the pieces on the character when you're displaying him, or toy photography, whatever your use for these figures is. That's nice. Then we have this sidearm. It kind of reminds me of like a Walther, but it's not. It's, you know, kind of like a laser pistol-y thing. You know, it's definitely not meant to be totally realistic, but it's more realistic than some of the other weapons that they've included with characters. We'll get into that as we get into the other characters in later videos. But this is really nice, cast in gray with like a gold brassy finish on the slide there. Looks really cool. That can just slot right into there on his belt, and that's a really nice snug fit. Like, that's not gonna fall out or anything. So again, good for storage. If you're gonna store the figure somewhere, display him somewhere, pieces aren't gonna just fall off of him. Then finally we have this, which is a weird mashup, like something out of Call of Duty Black Ops 7. I mean, it really looks kind of silly. It's semi-realistic. If you went from that back half there, you've got like the EOTech with a magnifier, some sort of like Magpul grip magazine there, foregrip, Magpul stock. You know, it's pretty realistic. But then you get up here and it turns into like a gauze cannon or something. I don't know, but it's not bad. It doesn't look terrible. It kind of fits with how G.I. Joe is. Like in the comics, it was semi-realistic, kind of animated. You know, I guess it works. The barrel is a little bit warped upwards. I think kind of looks that way when I'm just looking at it in person. That could just be heated up and then pushed down and it would be no problem. But it is slightly more of a sturdy plastic. Some of the times you get like a weapon or an accessory and it's really rubbery, and if it's meant to be a straight line, it'll just warp. This one doesn't feel like it will warp because it's nice, it's sturdy. Has the same gold bronzy tone brushed on here, here, and here, with some really nice blue detailing right there in the barrel to kind of simulate like a lasers or something like that. This doesn't have a sling or any kind of peg system where it can be attached to him, so he pretty much has to hold it or just set it off to the side, depending on what you're looking to do with displaying this figure. But he does look pretty great holding it. You can get him into all sorts of dynamic posing with it, and just like that. I mean, that's, you know, quick and easy just on video. It's not perfect, but there's a lot that you can do with it. He holds it really well, and it definitely looks good. One thing I will point out, this is just a gripe on my behalf, not necessarily something that everyone would be upset about, but for the scope here, I would have liked a little bit of a paint app right there just to simulate a lens instead of it just being solid gold. Same thing back here, just paint a little bit right there on the end of the scope, and I would be a happy, happy collector. Now let's take a look at the articulation on this figure. So first off, he has a hinge and a ball joint at the head, so you can get forward and back, as well as a lot of good range of motion there. He can say, no, we are not fighting the Cobra today. Not really much side to side, but that's okay because you can kind of do something like that where he's kind of got more of an angle to his head, but you can't really do that from the straight on position because it's not, there's really no, there's no side to side there, but it's not a huge detractor for me. It is what it is. He also has some sort of joint in the neck down here, maybe a ball joint or just a swivel, because you can actually move the neck independently of the head and independently of the torso. So that's cool, just gives a little extra range of motion there. Always a nice little touch, even if it doesn't do a whole lot, it's just a quality of life factor. He has butterflies at the shoulder as well as a swivel and a hinge. Nice outward so that he can reach 90. He also has a swivel at the bicep as well as a double jointed elbow, which brings it well past 90, and then a hinge and a swivel at the wrist. So you swivel it this way. This one is a up-down swivel, and then this one here is a in and out swivel. For customization's sake, or if you have hands you'd want to swap out, these are more like the Marvel Legend figures where the hands just pop out really, really cleanly. No real stress or fear of breaking the figure. it just kind of works really well. On the torso, you have an ab crunch as well as a swivel at the waist, which is really cool because then you can do something like that, which is horrifying and terrible. Now for the hips, they've implemented something that I have yet to see in another figure at this scale by Hasbro. Maybe they've done it with Marvel Legends or Power Rangers or something, but haven't seen it on any Black Series yet. And that is kind of a, well, I'll just show you. It's kind of a Bandai thing. You can shift the joint down, so you can push it up and you can shift it down. It has to do with the type of joint that they've used in here. It's like it's a split. I don't know if it's called like a Y joint or what, but it basically gives you a little bit more freedom to kind of pull that down, swivel up, and it gives you a little bit more range of motion in terms of the hip joint there. I've seen it done with like SH Figuarts and really high-end figures, but I haven't ever seen it done with a standard line Hasbro figure. So that's really nice. That's a good quality of life upgrade because you can really get the posing done a little bit better, and you're not going to have any kind of strain or stressing on the hip joint to get it into more of a seated position that way. Then there is just your standard thigh swivel, double jointed knees that get all the way back to there, and then you have the hinge and the rocker on the foot just like that. Apart from all that, there's some really nice paint apps on this figure, and that's kind of the last thing I'll touch on here. Up at the top, he's got this really nice gold emblem. I'm wondering if that's maybe like the G.I. Joe symbol, like the eagle or the hawk. And then you've got these red epaulets on his shirt, as well as the darker gray like two-tone, which is kind of cool, like a little tactical shirt. This figure overall is already just a beautiful representation of like the Gen 1 G.I. Joe Duke, or he's got a lot of, he has little bits, I guess, would be a better description. He's got bits that really just pay homage to that. The tan shirt, just like the clean-shaven, slicked-back hair, the green as a secondary. It's very, very reminiscent of that first version 1, Gen 1 G.I. Joe Duke that they released back in like 1980. For those of you that may not know what I'm talking about, let's put this guy here, and then la la la, right there is the Gen 1 or whatever it is, G.I. Joe Duke. So yeah, great paint apps all around. He's got this like, I don't know if it's supposed to be a sling or a tracker, something digitally space age tech type thing here on his bandolier with some silver, gold, blue, and black paint that makes it stand out really nicely. The rest is all just cast in green, nothing to say about that really. Then you go down here in the belt and he's got a nice belt buckle in silver, blue, gold, and like gunmetal again, all painted on there. No paint apps on the holster, no paint apps on the binoculars. Then you've got like the red knuckles on his combat gloves, which is cool, I guess. You can just pretend it's like the blood of his enemies or something. And then the nice tactical orange watch. A little goofy, but you know, original G.I. Joes had some wacky colors going on too, so we'll give that a pass. And then I think probably the most controversial part of this figure are his knee pads, and a lot of people have talked about this, the weird space agey kind of armor that they've given these characters. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm kind of torn. I think it works. I think it looks cool. It may not work in terms of like a perfect G.I. Joe representation, but overall I'd say that this is it's pretty neat. I like it. So he's got that nice paint apps all around, gunmetal, blue, and gold. Looks really sharp, and I feel like it blends pretty well with the figure. Like, it's not glaringly in your face like you're looking directly there. When you look at the figure, you're taking in the whole figure as a whole. And really, that's all I have to say about this figure. I think it's really cool. I can't really describe the feeling of going into a store and picking up a G.I. Joe off the shelf again. Even though it's 6-inch, and I really wish it was like a 3 3/4 inch line, we'll take what we can get, and I think it's really cool. I'm going to definitely pick up some of these. I probably won't be a completionist with this line. I will get the characters that I have fond memories of, the ones that I think are designed well, and the rest I'll just, you know, let slip by on the wayside, and I will think nothing of it. I've never been one to really be a completionist when it comes to any line, whether it's Star Wars or anything like that. I always just kind of hone in on what I like, and then I get what I like, and then I'm done with the line. So I think that's what this will be too. I might get Cobra Commander, I might get Gung Ho. The ninjas looked cool, but they sold out really fast, and I hadn't even gotten Snake Eyes yet, so I wasn't sure if I was going to get the ninjas to begin with, if I'd even have anything to go with them. So I might get the ninjas if I see them in store, one or two of those. Like I said, I'll definitely get a Viper if they ever release a Viper. Heck, I'd even like to get some of my 3 3/4 inch ones back, you know, get some of the small vintage 1980s Vipers that would go with this guy and just look really nice on the shelf. You know, eventually that will be a thing that I do, but until then, I'll be happy if they release a 6-inch version, and I'll definitely pick one of those up. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Please leave a like, a comment, maybe subscribe if you're new to the channel. Do those things if you feel so inclined. I do appreciate it greatly. Down in the description, you can find links to my social media, my Instagram, my Facebook, as well as my P.O. Box address. Anything sent to that, I will do an unboxing, opening, reading of a letter, whatever you want to send to it, I will do like a video on it. If you feel so inclined, no pressure whatsoever at all. But anyways, guys, that is where I'm going to wrap this video up. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll be sure to catch you all in the next video.